ARMY is shocked by the hidden facts behind the scenes of SWIM and BTS's latest MV. Taehyung shows an unexpected, fantastic side. Hello ARMY. Welcome back to the K-pop chemistry channel. This time I want you to truly pause for a moment, not to think but to feel. Because what we're about to talk about today is not just about what appears on screen. This is about what happens behind the scenes, behind the camera, within moments that often go completely unnoticed. The hidden facts behind the SWIM behind the scenes and the BTS MV are finally starting to unfold. And as often happens, the name Kim Taehyung rises again. Not as someone forcing the spotlight, but as someone who naturally draws it in. On set, everything moves fast. Lights, cameras, crew, direction, everything runs under pressure. But in the middle of all that, Taehyung stands out. He doesn't rush. He doesn't panic. He doesn't try to be perfect. He simply exists in the moment. And somehow, that presence feels incredibly powerful. One of the most talked about facts among the crew is how Taehyung prepares his emotions. Not through loud rehearsals, not through long discussions, but through silence. Yes, silence. He's often seen sitting alone, staring into nothing. To others, it may look like he's doing nothing, but in reality, that's where everything begins. He builds a world inside his mind, arranges emotions, and creates a connection between himself and the story he's about to tell. And the moment the camera starts rolling, all of it comes alive. In the SWIM behind the scenes, there's a small detail that many people almost missed. When Taehyung touches the water, his movement is incredibly gentle, careful, as if the water isn't just a prop, but something alive. Some crew members revealed that this wasn't in the direction. It came purely from Taehyung. And strangely, that tiny moment made the entire scene feel much more emotional. Another surprising fact is how Taehyung handles repeated takes. We all know filming isn't always smooth. There are mistakes, retakes, and exhaustion. But Taehyung never seems to lose the feeling. Every take feels complete. There is no drop in emotion, no half-hearted expressions, as if he truly relives the emotion again and again without losing depth. And that is not easy. What's even more surprising is that Taehyung doesn't only focus on himself. Some staff members shared that he often checks on the people around him, asking if they're okay, giving small smiles, or sometimes just a simple line. "You're working hard." It's a small gesture, but in the middle of a demanding shoot, it means everything. And maybe that's why the atmosphere around Taehyung always feels warmer. In the BTS MV itself, there are many moments where Taehyung feels different. Not just visually, but in his aura. His gaze feels deeper, his movements calmer, and his expressions more honest. Some fans even began to wonder, is he expressing something personal? Is this a form of freedom? Or is this his most authentic self? And honestly, no one truly knows because Taehyung never explains everything. He doesn't give full answers. He doesn't define every emotion. Instead, he lets people feel it for themselves. And maybe that's why his presence always feels different. There's one moment that gave ARMY chills. A moment so quiet yet so powerful, when the camera almost stopped rolling. When most people would naturally break character, Taehyung didn't. He stayed still, immersed in the atmosphere. His eyes still held the same emotion. His body still carried the weight of the scene. It was as if the line between reality and performance had completely disappeared. As if, for those few seconds, he wasn't acting at all, he was simply being. One crew member even whispered, "He's not back yet." And somehow, that single sentence said everything. It wasn't something unsettling or strange. It was beautiful because it showed just how deeply he was immersed, how seriously he takes every moment, and how he doesn't just play a role, he lives inside it. ARMY, from all these small yet meaningful moments, we begin to see something clearly. Taehyung doesn't just follow a concept. He feels it. He absorbs it and reshapes it into something personal. He doesn't just take direction. He adds soul. He adds layers that aren't written in any script. He doesn't just perform. He tells a story. A story you don't just watch, but something you quietly experience. And maybe that's what makes him so different. While many try to look perfect, Taehyung chooses to be real. While many focus on the final result, he focuses on the process, on the smallest details, on the emotions that flicker for just a second, and on the silence that most people overlook but he understands so deeply. He focuses on moments that may never even make it into the final cut, yet become the very reason everything feels alive. So when you rewatch the Swim behind the scenes or this BTS MV, don't just see what's in front of you. Don't just follow the storyline. Feel the pauses. Notice the subtle movements, the way his gaze lingers just a little longer, the way his breathing matches the emotion of the scene. Listen to the silence between moments, because that's where Taehyung truly works. That's where his artistry quietly unfolds. And maybe without even realizing it, you'll begin to understand why this one person always leaves such a lasting impact. Not because he tries to, not because he forces it, but because that's simply who he is. Natural, deep, unpredictable, and fantastical in his own way. Kim Taehyung. Not just an idol, not just a performer, but someone who even in the quietest, unseen moments, creates something unforgettable. Something that lingers, something that stays with you long after the scene ends. Thank you for watching, for staying until the very end, and for feeling every moment with me, ARMY. Because this story was never just about what we saw on the surface. It was about the emotions in between, the quiet details, and the things that Taehyung never needed to say out loud. Moments like this remind us why we keep watching, why we keep listening, and why we continue to be moved even by the smallest gestures. So, wherever you are right now, I hope you carry this feeling with you a little longer. And remember, sometimes the most unforgettable stories are the ones that are felt, not explained. Thank you once again for being here, and I'll see you in the next story, ARMY. What makes these hidden facts so resonant is the realization that Taehyung is constantly bridging the gap between the idol we adore and the artist he is becoming. Behind the scenes, he is the architect of his own vulnerability, carefully choosing when to reveal the depths of his soul and when to hold it close. This intentionality is what creates that magnetic pull. It's the sense that we are witnessing something sacred, something that wasn't just practiced in a studio, but lived in the quiet corners of his heart. He doesn't just show us a performance, he offers us a piece of his truth, wrapped in the grace of his movements and the intensity of his stare. As we look closer at these behind-the-scenes moments, we see a man who has mastered the art of being human in a world that often demands robots. His willingness to stay in character long after the director calls cut, or his habit of checking on the weary staff, speaks to a character that is as beautiful as his art. It is this balance of professional mastery and genuine kindness that solidifies his legacy. He reminds us that greatness isn't just about the high notes or the perfect choreography, but about the spirit you bring to the set and the way you leave people feeling after the lights go out. Ultimately, the story of Kim Taehyung behind the camera is a testament to the power of authenticity. In an era of filters and fleeting trends, he remains an anchor of real emotion. He teaches us that it's okay to be still, it's okay to be silent, and it's okay to feel things more deeply than words can describe. So, the next time you see him on screen, remember the silence he sat in to find that emotion. Remember the gentle touch on the water that wasn't scripted. Remember that beneath the global icon lies a storyteller who values the soul of the journey more than the applause at the end. That is the true magic of Taehyung. And that is why we will always be here to listen to his silent stories.